Wasn't ignoring you.
There you go.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At 7 p.m., we'll call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item of business is announcements, and Councilor McHugh has an announcement.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge a young member of our little Compton community, 19-year-old Thomas Harrington, who died on May 8th after a nearly 10-year-long battle with Ewing sarcoma, a type of bone cancer. Thomas fought hard, undergoing years of conventional and alternative treatments. Thomas was a wonderful young man. He was very talented. Some words that I picked out from all the things that I've read. He was brave, he was a warrior, he was fun, he was adventurous, multi-talented, and most of all, he was mischievous. He was a great kid. A 5-year survival rate for metastatic sarcoma is 39%. Thomas lived for 10 years, so he was quite an inspiration to everyone. There's a lot of people with some heavy hearts this past week. Just a wonderful kid, and should be recognized. You get to go to high school, you got to be cool, you get to be in the band. Just a great, great kid. There's going to be a memorial service for him May 27th at the United Congregational Church in Little Compton. Just a wonderful spirit and a brave kid.
Would you like to take a moment?
Observe a moment of silence?
Sure.
In memory of Thomas Harrington. Thank you for bringing that forward. Councilor Mataronis.
I have an announcement. On Monday, this last Monday, the Garden Club had a recycling meeting. There was probably 20 people there. It was informative. Originally, they wanted you, one of the new things they're doing that I learned was on the plastic bottles, they want you to leave the caps on. Originally, they wanted you to take them off. And on the glass jars, they wanted you to leave the lids on, the metal lids. Now they want you to take them off, so it picks them up with a magnet. But it lasted for about an hour and a half. It was pretty good. I've got some stickers and some magnetic stickers you can put on your refrigerator. I'm going to leave them with Carol at the town hall. So I would suggest everybody grab one. We really need to do something about recycling in this town to get our recycling rate up. So
Thank you. The announcements I have are National Police Week is this week. I encourage our citizens to reflect on the many contributions made by our police officers to the well-being and care we enjoy throughout the year. My second item is I received this week a communication from Mike Steers, who's not able to attend the meeting this evening and speak in person, but he asked that I express his and his family's thanks and gratitude to our town's EMS team for their expert care on April 23rd. This is the message he asked to be passed along to you this evening. As you know, I experienced a cardiac arrest that day, April 23rd. Although I don't remember anything, I was told I collapsed after a game of paddle and was gone. But the immediate action of CPR and the use of a defibrillator by the fellows I've been playing with, and then the expert care of the EMTs, saved my life. Understandably, we are grateful beyond words. Recognition and support of EMS cannot be overstated. That's his statement. I'll point out that we're going to have the opportunity later in this meeting to vote to observe Emergency Medical Services Week next week, May 21st to 27th in the town, and to recognize the Little Compton EMS team. Finally, I encourage your attendance at next week's financial town meeting. The financial town meeting convenes on Wednesday, May 24th at 7 p.m. at the school. Bring your budget committee report with you. All right, any other announcements? I'll solicit approval of the minutes of May 1st.
motion to approve the minutes of May 1st and May 4th,
Second.
2023, unless anybody wants to pull anything for conversation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve minutes of May 1st and 4th. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Department head reports, that of the police department.
Motion to place the police department report for April on file.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there discussion? All in favor? Aye. Next item is new business, a letter received from Michael Brimbaugh, a resident of Westport, Mass., in regards to the Little Compton Harbor Master.
I spoke to Mike Masser about this once I got the letter. And this happened on Good Friday. There was a 23-foot sailboat with a gentleman running it. My understanding, he was in Cutty Hunk for 2 or 3 days because the weather was bad. So I think he took a stab at coming around. I think he was going, well, I know he was going up the river. He doesn't say where he was going. There's a letter from his wife. He came around the point. Started coming around the point. He lost his sail, then he lost his jib, and his motor wouldn't start. So, I mean, those 3 things together. Let me go on a little bit more. I was leaving to go up the road, and obviously everybody knows I live at Secana Point, so I always look out at the harbor and the river. Well, I saw a Coast Guard boat out there, so I stopped to see what was going on. I think the Coast Guard towed him in from around the islands of the lighthouse, stopped at the mouth of the harbor to shorten up the tow. They had talked to Mike Massa, and Mike told the Coast Guard to there was an available mooring, but it was a fisherman's mooring, okay? So the Coast Guard put him on that mooring. Now, in October, November, every fall, our mooring company comes down to service probably 95% of the moorings down there, and they take the mooring balls off because historically we've always had ice in the harbor. So the mooring balls would get cut off, and then they would have to dive for the chains or the apparatus, the moorings and the chains. So there was no mooring balls. The town has 2 transient moorings. We don't leave them in the winter for the same reason. The mooring company comes down, services the mooring balls, paints them, and then brings them back. He was down the last couple of weeks putting them all back in. So the only moorings in the harbor was the fisherman's mooring. And I guess some of the fishermen were out, and so there was 1 mooring available. So I guess Mr. Brimbaugh's wife called Mike up. Mike tried to call them a few times, never got through. Then his wife called up, and he wasn't aware of this letter till I told him about it yesterday. And so he could never get a hold of him and explain what was going on down there, which if you on a fisherman's mooring, the fisherman comes in, and he sees a sailboat on the mooring, he's not going to be happy because he's probably been out for 3 or 4 days fishing. So my understanding that Mike tried to get a hold of him, couldn't get a hold of him. And this gentleman left the boat there for a day or 2 and used the marina's dock to tie his dinghy up. Never got a hold of anybody at the marina to let him know that's what was going to be happening. So I'd like to say that Mike has never had a complaint. He's been the harbor master for, I think, 18 to 20 years, never had a complaint. I'm very upset with this letter. I would like to talk to this gentleman and correct him. So I just don't think that gentleman should have been out there. And when Mike talked to his wife, he asked if the guy had survival suits or a life raft or anything. The guy said, no, all I had was a life preserver. So if something happened to the boat and the Coast Guard didn't come or he couldn't get a hold of anybody and that boat sank, he wouldn't be around right now. So he should be thankful the Coast Guard came for him. So I'm going to make a motion to place this on file.
If I might, I asked the solicitor to review it as well. And
Okay.
like to
Just to emphasize and expand on what you just said, the harbor master acted in accordance with your town ordinances, specifically section 9-1.111E. And that is that, no boat shall occupy a mooring other than the one for which it is registered. He acted properly. It was an emergency situation. But that was just for a short period of time. And also section 9-12. He acted properly here, and I do think you're correct that the boat owner needed to respond immediately to correct the situation and did not. The harbor master acted properly within his duties, and that should be noted too.
So,
I'll second Gary's motion, and I'll add, although, I've experienced down at Secana Point, very limited compared to Gary, but every time I've seen an emergency down there or someone in need, I've never seen Mike hesitate to go out and help someone in a bad situation. So I think this letter really mischaracterizes Mike as a harbor master.
Okay, thank you both. The letter of the motion is made and seconded. Is there further discussion?
Just a little bit more, not to drag it on. Obviously, this man was very upset. I think his sailing expertise is questionable on, like Gary's pointed out, all the different things that happened to him. I mean, and he didn't have all the right safety gear. The only thing I really take umbrage to is he came with a preconceived idea that we're all a bunch of snobs. And this just, so you add the emotional intent of almost maybe losing his life on top of it, and with that preconceived idea. That to me is I can forgive him for all his quotes, because he was upset. Obviously, he made a mistake and he felt embarrassed and all that. What I take umbrage with is the consensus that to stay out of Little Compton, because it's not a great place to be. That I take as an insult, but I'm just saying my piece. I'm on the record to place it on file as well.
Any other comments? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is to consider approval of a replacement hoist for the town dock. Administrator, go ahead.
I'll slow matter along. Okay, so as Andrew knows, most of you know, the town dock was built on the high side, so you can't just unload off the boat onto the dock. So we have a hoist down there, a boom and a jib down there with a hoist on the end of it. And lobstermen generally unload 3 or 4 crates of lobsters at once coming from the boat to the back of their truck. The gill net guys will unload 1,000-pound bats of fish down there. And so you need the hoist. So we have 2 right now. One we purchased in 2015, which is 8 years old now. It's been working well. The other one we have is from 2006, and it's in pretty rough shape. So what I'm getting to, the one that's on there right now, if something goes wrong with that, we put the old one on. If something were happen to that before the new one got repaired, then the fishermen would be at a standstill. So I put out RFPs for a new hoist, and I put out 4 RFPs. There was a company from California that was the low bidder of $22,805. There was one from Massachusetts for $24,169. There was one from North Carolina for $27,964, and there was a company from Rhode Island that was actually $36,000. It's $32,000 here, but it was actually $36,000. So my recommendation would go with the hoist company from Massachusetts, because I spoke to them. And one of the problems we've had with the company from Rhode Island, they're very expensive. Plus, it takes them about 2 months to repair the hoist. So, but by the time he gets done repairing the hoist, or in that amount of time, if the hoist we have up there goes down and this one's not repaired, like I say, the fishermen are at a standstill. So the one in Massachusetts, I spoke to the gentleman. He promised me that he would have quick turnarounds with anything. So it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So my recommendation would be to go with the Massachusetts company for $24,169, which is $1,364 more than the lowest one. Plus, there's an extra $500 to $750 shipping. We haven't figured that out yet on top of that, so I'd like to have a motion to go with the Massachusetts company.
You move in the Mass company?
Yes, I am.
I'll second it with a comment.
Yep.
Funding is coming from Harbor Management.
Funding's coming from the Harbor Management Fund. We have the funds in there, so it's not going to be a cost to the town. It's going to be a cost to the users of the harbor, which everybody uses the town dock at some point. And the recreational people use the town dock and the hoist to launch their sailboats in the spring quite heavily, and then they haul them out in the fall. And if there was a hurricane come by, we would definitely need this. So it's a backup plan.
The motion is made and seconded to select Massachusetts Crane and Hoist for the source of our crane replacement. Any further discussion?
The only thing I'd add to that is the shipping cost is pretty much the same no matter which one you go, right?
The shipping costs are all the same except for
Local.
Hoist Direct, no, yeah. Hoist Direct, which is from North Carolina, they're free, but they're also almost $3,000 more money.
Are they all basically the same model?
Everything,
unit?
here,
I don't really need to know all the
yeah,
details.
I brought it for anybody to look at this. This is what the specs were, and they're all the same on all of them. So I figured Pat would want to look at them.
You want to include that it's including shipping fees? Not just the,
Yeah, it's,
Somehow.
so the hoist from Mass Crane and Hoist plus shipping fees.
I'll amend my second to reflect that vote.
Just to be clear, the figure cited includes or does not include shipping?
Does not include shipping.
So
Shipping's
that, the
extra.
motion then is to select Mass Crane and Hoist for the stated amount plus the cost of shipping. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'd like to say one thing, that every council that I've been on, and I've, 25th year, has always been very supportive of the fishermen at the point. And as I think everybody knows, fishing's really gotten to be a bear of a job. It always has been, but it gets worse with the price of fuel so high and bait and labor and everything so high. And I'd like to also thank this council very much for always supporting the fishermen.
Great, thank you.
Here, here.
The next item of business is to review and authorize execution of an auditor engagement letter with the firm of Haig Sahadi. The solicitor, excuse me, the administrator has provided a copy of the letter, which requires signatures from the finance director, the town administrator, and the council.
Motion to authorize.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I had a few questions
Yeah.
that I emailed you folks. So we have the May 12th, 2023 contract or letter of engagement. And you guys sent me the May 22 letter of engagement. And I was wondering if it's exactly the same. I didn't read it. So I'm counting on my professionals to tell me. So I want to delegate this.
Yes, it is.
I just want to know the answers.
It's a pretty standard process. What they do is they provide us with the scope of work, and we did that last year. You approved it.
I did.
You approved actually the 3-year contract back in May 19, 2022, for a 3-year with the 2022, 34,000, 2023, 35,000, and 2024, 36,000. So there is an increase of $1,000 each one of those years.
So what I saw, let me know if I'm wrong, I think it's Article 60 in the town warrant for fiscal year 2022. It's $20,500 for our auditing. And our fiscal 23 is $34,000.
There's a correction to be made there. That was my misstatement when I recorded that, okay? It should be the In fact, there's a split between the town and the school committee, I mean, the school, where we pay a percentage and they pay a percentage. So what you see there is the town portion, the 20,500. However, the entire amount is 34,000.
Well, that would make sense to me. Is there any difference in scope in this new agreement? Exactly, they're doing the exact same thing.
Yes.
Thank you for not having me read that. Appreciate it.
I can add that this is the form that this firm uses with other communities too. It's the exact same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve execution?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Thank you. Next is a memorandum from the fire chief to observe EMS Week in Little Compton as May 21st through the 27th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
I think the letter from Mike Steers says it all about our EMS technicians and all our firefighters, so I think the whole council concurs with it, and it seems like they're doing a good job, and they seem to be all getting along very well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Sitting as the Board of License Commissioners, a request from the Game Club for a one-day retail beverage license for a clam bake.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion on that. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The next item is communications and electronic communication for Save Our Secundit River Rally, which was conducted this preceding Saturday, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Saturday, the 13th.
So I was there at that meeting. I spoke at the meeting. There was probably, I don't know, there might have been 90 people, maybe 100 people there. Nobody was there to speak for it, obviously, with that cable coming up the Secundit River. With the mud plumes, they're going to, this is all something we've already been over, and I had some questions for Ms. Dussault, who was our legal representative for our intervenous status with South Coast Wind. So you've all seen that, and we did have a resolution that we don't want that coming up the Secundit River, and we suggested it should go up by Route 88 in Westport, since it's not going to service anybody in Rhode Island. It's not going to bring electricity to Rhode Island. It's going to bypass, go through Rhode Island, and go to the Brayton Point Power Plant and service Massachusetts. So I do believe Portsmouth's town council has been kind of lacking in letting their constituents speak on this. And I think they've had so many questions by the Portsmouth residents that they're going to have a meeting in the auditorium at Portsmouth High School on May 24th, which corresponds to our
Financial town.
meeting. So, so we already have made a resolution that we do not want the South Coast cable coming up the river. So I'm going to make a motion to place this on file.
Second.
Discussion on that. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The consent calendar.
Motion to place the consent calendar on file unless someone wants to pull one and talk about it.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And the payment of bills.
Motion to pay the bills. It's a whopper.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There being no further matters before the council, I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Lady and gentlemen.